You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin. With me today, I've got Amy. Now, Patreon patrons, remember, you can now watch All Good Things as an extended video edit of this very episode at patreon.com/BQN. Amy, it's just me and you today. How are you?
Doing well. Just the two of us. Still going though, because we love talking Star Trek. I am wearing my Women of Star Trek shirt because we will be discussing two amazing women today. So if you have not signed up for Patreon, please go on over and you can see our video.
Yeah, it's a beautiful t-shirt. I'd love that t-shirt myself, actually, and make it into a tank top for the gym. I think I'd get a lot of appreciative looks in that. So I might get that on my list.
Very good. Well, how have you been?
I've been really well. You know, something has come on me in the new year, because I'm quite a fitness kind of enthusiast anyway. I don't have the usual New Year's resolutions of diet, exercise, because I do that. I've become very entrepreneurial and I've become obsessed with a side hustle. So how can I kind of make money type thing? So I've started having a clean out of all old clothes and selling them on auction sites. There's one called Vinted here in the UK. Wow. So I mean, and they make like pennies. But I get such a thrill because like the shop that is like 30 seconds walk from my front door, you just put them in a bag and put them in a locker. You don't even have to put a label on them. You just scan a QR code. It's very high tech. So it's so easy to do. Wow. I've become obsessive with it. So my office here, my little podcast room, it's like a shop. There are like loads of clothes of these need to be listed. These have sold, with lots of bags and mailing labels and things. So I'm loving that. And I'm even considering almost like a graphic design route of you create a design, you partner up and you promote it on sites like Redbubble to sell on cups, water bottles, t-shirts. And, you know, you don't have to get involved with the printing, the postage, the merch. You just submit the design and you get the like residual almost. And again, it's pennies. But it's like, that's like free money coming in. So I'm thinking of doing it. I'm reading a lot at the moment about fan art licensing. Like, will I get in trouble for making kind of Star Trek related, even if I don't say the words Star Trek, but if it's a picture of Michael Burnham or something, am I going to get in trouble? Everyone else seems to do it just fine.
Right. Well, they are very strict on their licensing. You know, our good friend and artist Kavita, she lost her license and But Redbubble, I'm so excited you're doing that because I know a lot of podcasts have their stuff on Redbubble where, you know, people can buy and they get little. So if you want to do that for yourself and the network, I'm just throwing it out there.
Maybe we'll have a line of all the things merchandise coming soon.
Yes, or the view screen, because, you know, we had our mugs. We need to get those out there. I think people would like our view screen mugs.
So that's me. I've been busy. What have you been up to the last week?
So remember when I did a movie screening of a science fiction presentation, right? Because we're not calling it, but of Section 31. So we're going to do this again for Academy the day after. Watch both episodes on the big screen. We're gathering all the locals in Vegas. So that's in the works coming up this Thursday. Or no,
is that
Friday.
something you've had to arrange privately and book out the cinema screen for it? It's not an event the cinema's put on.
Yes, no, this is completely us. We rented out the theaters. You know how like during COVID theaters were like, please come to us. So that's still continuing at this one theater. And so, yeah, we've got that all set up and a Google form and people are signing up. So
Brilliant. Oh, Amy, I love that. Are you going to wait then until Friday to watch it on the big screen for the first time, or will you cave and watch it on Thursday to avoid spoilers?
that is such a good question. I had already watched Section 31 twice before seeing it.
Dear.
So, I might play it by ear because I would like to be surprised. But, in our business of podcasting and friends, it's sort of hard.
Yeah.
But we did have some friends that went to the premiere in New York.
I am hearing very mixed results, but I respect the positive results more because they seem to be coming from, dare I say, more legitimate sources. The haters they just seem to be the type of people who are going to hate on new Star Trek regardless of what it is.
Right.
So I'm not really listening to that noise. I know Sean Ferrick over at Trek Culture has seen basically the first half of the season, says it's amazing, sensational. So I respect those opinions a lot more than angry people on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely those that just poo-poo anything new, and you're just like, well, if we don't have anything new, yes, we have fun talking about 30-year-old episodes, but we like the new stuff too.
We like it all. Did you see the blue carpet event that Celia delivered on YouTube?
I just saw a clip, a reel with her and Holly Hunter, and that was the only one that I've seen. But Holly Hunter, shout out to Janeway, and yeah.
The entire event was it was a live stream from East Coast time for you, so it was 11:30 at night on a school night.
Oh.
I stayed awake to watch it, so I only went to sleep at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh my god!
And I had to be up at 6, so I was a little bleary-eyed. And she was just on the red carpet or blue carpet, very political. She was on the blue carpet, and she just interviewed all of her colleagues and legacy Trek people. She did such a great job. Those events are very difficult because you don't know who's going to stop, and you're trying to fill dead air. And her exuberance and joy just really came across, and it was just so lovely to see her doing it.
I wonder if they asked her or if people were applying for the spot. I sort of want to know the background because when you have Wil Wheaton, hosting After Trek, and you're like, well, is it just him or were there others that wanted to, be this? So I'm curious because I could see a lot like Jess Bush doing amazing, so.
Yeah, that's the weird thing now. We're thinking, what are these people going to be doing next?
Yeah.
So if she's finding a niche there, all power to her.
Yeah. Yeah. We want them to still be in the family. So keep on doing these types of events.
Yeah. Speaking of the family, we had some listener feedback on our episode last week about Star Trek Khan, the podcast. This was from Paul Wright Jr., our good friend who we see at conventions. He said it was a great discussion. I love Khan and hope they do more of these episodic podcasts in the future. Don't we all?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Paul, for your comment. And yeah, there's a lot of those audio dramas. So much fan fiction to ideas. Let's just get them out there. Yeah.
Right, Amy, what are we doing today? Would you like to introduce our new series?
Yes, our brand new series, Deja-View. And of course, this is part 1. So Deja-View is when there's episodes that bear a striking similarity in tone or storyline to, each other. Some consider it the writers just being lazy and reusing old content. Others say, it's just so many episodes. It's bound to happen. So in this series, we are going to select 2 similar themed episodes and see which one we prefer. And we are going to do this with our Next Generation's Face of the Enemy and our Deep Space Nine's Second Skin. You guys, I'm so excited. This has been previously covered way back at the beginning of All Good Things, episode 45. If you would like to go in our back catalog and listen to our guest host at the time, Mark, this was his sort of interview to see if he wanted to be an actual host. Yeah. So
He
there's
passed
a
his
lot.
interview then.
Yeah. So if you want to check that out, but we are going to be looking at the storyline of our female characters waking up to find out they have been surgically altered to appear alien and have a new identity to assume.
Yes, exciting stuff. So we are obviously going to cover the episode in a bit of a review, but being 2 episodes, this is not your traditional deep dive full episode review. So, we can cover from this series them as standalones for the usual deep dive in our other topics. But this is it's just interesting to look at similarities between episodes because it does happen a lot in Star Trek. So to look at the similarities and differences. So let's start off with the OG, the original who came first, and that is the Next Generation's Face of the Enemy. Amy, would you like to give us a little synopsis and tell us a little bit about when it aired?
Well, Troi is captured and forced to masquerade as a Romulan intelligence officer in a plot to aid the defection of several high-ranking Romulan officials. Now, this aired February 1993. Season 6. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Everyone looked so good in that episode. I'd put it on, I'm like, Worf, amazing. Troi, of course, brilliant. Like, everyone is just so looking good.
I mean, I don't want to boil down the fantastic performance to, how she looked. But at the end when she's in sickbay in the surgical gown, Marina looked so beautiful. She looked like so fresh in her face. She didn't have her usual Troi makeup on. And
or
she
the
just
wig.
Radiant.
Yeah,
was that her
was
original
like her hair? Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Marina.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a reaction to this episode from some of the creatives. Michael Chabon, who went on to be the exec producer of Star Trek Picard Season 1, said that this is his favorite Deanna Troi episode. Is it your favorite Deanna Troi episode, Amy, out of interest? Do you have one?
Oh.
Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, favorites. What's a favorite? It's a good one, though. I mean, it's favorite for today.
Brilliant. What else did we have to say?
Yeah, so Jerry Taylor praised having 2 powerful women rise to the occasion and take on each other. Of course, talking about Troi and Torith.
And Ronald D. Moore said that this was the best Romulan episode that they ever did on TNG. Ooh. Now, that is controversial. That's very controversial.
Yeah, wait.
So many.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but it is, we learned so much.
Yeah, we do.
So I guess if you want to put it that way, I would agree.
Well, we do learn a lot. There's a lot of continuity established from this episode, and I always find sometimes it's a throwaway comment that becomes canon, whereas if you've got an episode that's really rich and establishes a lot, to me that makes it like an unmissable episode. If you're trying to introduce Star Trek to people who want to watch it quickly, and you can say you can miss that episode, you can miss that. There's certain ones that are like fixed points and you can't miss them. This I would say be one. So what are some of the continuity points we've got, Amy?
Well, one that I really enjoy is this continuation of the dissident movement that we get with Spock in Unification Parts 1 and Part 2. Like this whole storyline of, getting together with the Romulans and the Cardassians and their heritage, and then some do want to leave. They see maybe a different option, and how can we get out? And it all starts with Spock in Unification. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that is it's such, and this carries on after that as well, even as far as Discovery, you could argue as well into season 3. So very important.
Yeah.
Another very important point is that this episode is the first mention and establishes the Tal Shiar as the Romulan Secret Service, much feared, which are repeatedly referenced again. And I always found it quite weird at the time of, well, we know the Romulans are villains. We know they're the baddies. Why do we need more baddies in the baddies? Why do we need even worse ones?
Well, and I mean, like we see in the episode, like there's different levels of baddies, you know? So, yeah. Now, is this the first that we hear of a secret, you know, within a different government? Like, have we heard of the Obsidian Order before now?
No. So this is really key to our deep dive and comparison today. This is before Section 31. This is before the Obsidian Order. I don't think the Klingons have a version of this. There's Order of the Batleth, or, you know, but they're like Gowron's Secret Service. But, you know, this idea that the superpower have this undercover, feared agency. So this sets it up for all of Star Trek afterwards.
Wow.
Really important.
That is hugely important. Now I love that we get Carolyn Seymour back because she previously played a Romulan in season 2, you guys. Go back to see Contagion. And her character was called Terrace. You're going to have to fill me in on the beta canon, but we couldn't have Torith be Terrace because in Contagion, Terrace dies. So Torith is why it's not the same. But what about the beta canon, Kelvin?
Yeah, I think to be very cynical, I think the reason it's not Taris is probably more to do with writing credit. That if it was an established character, they'd have to pay the writer. But in beta canon, and again, I have to glean this, I have to give credit to James. I've not read this, but because of the striking similarities, it's the same actress. They did establish that Taris and Toreth were actually related. Which they also did with Gul Dukat and Gul Maset when he played a different Cardassian. Mark Alamo played the first Cardassian on the Wounded TNG, so they made them, I think, brothers as well. Anyway, that's a tangent. We're not talking Cardassians at the moment.
Know that.
Yeah, they made them related.
That is very interesting. Very cool. Torith goes on to become part of Commander Denotra's new government following the events of Star Trek Nemesis. Did not know that.
Yes. So again, that's beta canon.
Beta canon.
And that's both in novels, but also in the narrative on Star Trek Online as well. So after the Romulan supernova, you basically get 2 versions of the Romulan Empire. You get the Romulan Republic, which are the more like the nice ones with Denotra, and then you get Sela as Empress Sela with the more orthodox Romulans, shall we call them. So if you want to read up after, that's kind of your Picard era without it being Picard. We do get a very important point here, and it's just a throwaway comment in the dialogue that Romulan ships are powered by an artificial quantum singularity, which is referenced later, only a couple of episodes later in Timescape, but also, again, it's a very important plot point in the mystery of the Deep Space Nine episode Visionary in season 3, which is the one where Miles O'Brien is jumping into the future temporarily.
I was also reading that in the next phase, this type of engine, the artificial quantum singularity, is why the ship implodes instead of explodes.
Yes, that's a very scientific, because basically it's a black hole. So if you lose containment breach, things will suck in rather than blow out. That's a great plot detail. I love it.
Yeah, I figured you would like that.
Something else which is, well, it's there, it's important. We talk about this with Janeway all the time, but we've got new haircut alerts. Yes, we have a new haircut. We see for the very first time Worf with his ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm thinking his hair grew a lot in a couple of days from the episode before, but maybe there's supposed to be, maybe he was going through his Klingon puberty like he was in Insurrection.
Yes, with the pimple.
Rapid hair growth in, was it Jack Delar, Klingon puberty?
I think, yeah, Worf, again, I mentioned it. He just looks so good. This is the best he looks. I love season 6 Worf.
Okay, so that is Face of the Enemy. We're not going through much of more of a deep dive. We wanted to just kind of introduce the topic and the continuity before we jump over to our very similar story in Deep Space Nine's Second Skin. So, Amy, tell us a little bit about the synopsis and when this was.
Yes. So this aired October 1994. So pretty much 1.5 years later. And Kira is kidnapped by the Cardassians, who try to convince her that she is really one of them. I really can't even imagine this.
Wow, I didn't actually realize that these episodes were so close together. So this Face of the Enemy was late season 6, and Second Skin was very early season 3 of DS9. So you've only really got not a huge amount of time between them. That's bold. That's very brave. A lot of these, what you will see in this Deja-Vu series, it's poor Enterprise that gets the critique of reusing scripts, but that was ages later.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. I thought that is really close to be doing something so similar. And another thing I noticed with this early Deep Space Nine, it is so heavily influenced by TNG. Les Landau is the director of Second Skin. Like all the shot angles are like, I'm watching a TNG, and you can really tell the difference later Deep Space Nine, where it's not your TNG episodes, so kudos to Deep Space Nine for getting away from that. Les Landau, he's total TNG, and I don't know, I just really noticed it this watch.
Oh, Uncle Les, as they all used to call him.
Yes, that's right.
So, okay, a little bit of a reaction to this episode. This is a little bit of a mouthful, but Robert Hewitt Wolf, he said he was extremely proud of this episode, especially the thematic continuity, which in itself sounds amazing. He says, without sounding pretentious, this episode really centers on the theme of you can't judge a book by its cover. So he says, everyone is wearing a second skin. You've got Kira is both who she is and who she is not, Ileana Gamor. You've got Meg Gamor himself, who's a very staunch supporter of the Cardassian government, and an opponent of the Cardassian government. There's a secret dissident. You've then got the USS Defiant, who appears as a Culberian freighter, but it's really a Federation ship. You've then got Garrick, who's clearly a tailor, but he's really a spy. You've got Cisco through the hollow filter, who looks like a Kabirian captain, but he's a Starfleet human. And then you've even got Odo, who's a bag.
Wow,
a lot there, isn't there?
That is, and I didn't even think about the ship, but you're completely right. Even the ship has the second skin. I love this. Good job, Robert Hewitt Wolf.
Yeah, and you love it, and you're not alone. Tor.com rated this as a 9 out of 10 episode, claiming it to be brilliantly scripted, brilliantly directed, and brilliantly executed. So this, and I've always loved this episode as well. I thought for an early Deep Space Nine, a lot of people would say season 3 is when Deep Space Nine got good. This is something like the 3rd or 4th episode. You're in. It's so strong. It's got a lot of establishing points for characters. So continuity for this episode. What have we got?
So Kira's opinion of the holosuite and her reluctance to go in when she's it sets up Meridian only a couple episodes later. So that's little character flaw of hers continues.
2 episodes later, yes, it continues where Quark's trying to take the hollow image of her because there's no record of her in the holosuite because she won't go in there. So that's a great
that's
one.
right. Okay, I remember that.
And another call back is Garak mentions that this is the only time he's left Deep Space Nine in 3 years, with the exception of the very brief trip him and Bashir took to Bajor the year before, which references the events of the early season 2 episode called Cardassians.
So this sets up that Garak is exiled. Is this the first time we know this, or do we know he was exiled before now?
I think it is pretty much immediately established speculatively, because even Garak himself doesn't confirm that he's in exile.
Right.
But I think even in past prologue, his very first appearance, they're like, what's he doing there? And so it's so mysterious. They established Garak as a firm favorite in season 2. So season 1, he was only in 1 episode. Season 2, I think he had about 5, maybe a few less. But this was his. We had some classic Garak in this episode. I loved it.
For sure. Agreed. So Gamora returns in season 5 for Ties of Blood and Water. That's right. I totally forgot that.
And also, as well, a bit of foreshadowing. We say that Garak's reference to the Defiant cabins feeling claustrophobic hints at the character development we get later in the series of him being extremely claustrophobic.
Right. Was that where they were in behind a wall or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Kira says that her mother died in a refugee center of malnutrition when she was 3. However, we learn later this to be incorrect during season 6, Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night.
We do indeed. And right, I'm going to go into beta canon as well with some continuity here. You know I love it. But this is a bit dark, actually. So, strap yourselves in. You might want to read this book afterwards. So we never actually meet the real Ileana Gamor on screen. But she does feature in several of the novels. And in one novel called Fearful Symmetry, it's sickeningly revealed that while Ileana was undercover and surgically altered to look like Kira, with her real identity suppressed, so she thought she was Kira, Dukat had her secretly held captive for 14 years. And during this imprisonment, he used her as a sexual plaything, subjecting her to monstrous rapings and beatings to satiate his dark whim. That is awful. It is so... And we mentioned the Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night, so the episodes with Kira's mother.
Right.
So it was Kira's mother in that book. So this is when Dukat is seeing Kira's mum, Maru. She said, can you go and find my daughter, who I don't see? He finds her, but it's Ileana. Finds out that it's Ileana and then keeps her secret from her own mother and torments her. It is, you would not have got away with that on screen, but from a character perspective of not only Ileana, but Dukat, I've often struggled to see Dukat as a villain. I see him as circumstances are he's misunderstood, but that is
not this
evil behavior that puts him into a new perspective. So I might go and reread that book since we've covered it here. But yeah, check it out. Fearful Symmetry, it's called.
Wow. Yeah.
So now we know a little more about the episodes. Let's put them side by side and consider what was similar and what was unique in these 2 episodes. So what are some of the similarities we've got? Do you want to start us off, Amy?
Yes. Well, obviously, both characters have been abducted They awake and they are surgically altered to be a different species.
Yes. And though we have already said, certainly from Jerry Taylor's perspective, that this is a strong female lead focused episode, there is the trope of the damsel in distress card being played here, which requires the lead male actors to go on a rescue mission to save them.
Yes, I guess you could spin it that way, but it could have been anyone and they would have still gone to save them. So I'm going to throw that out and still call this extremely forward and feminist. Because if it was Geordie, they on Samaritan Snare, he had to be rescued, you know? So, yeah.
Maybe bring Janeway to rescue him next time.
Yes, yeah, let's do that. Now, this is super interesting. Both stories were about a secret dissident movement forming within a traditional military society. I mean, that point when Kira was like, well, if they don't want me, what are they after? Oh, they're after you because you are the dissident. And that was so brilliant. And we also get it on Face of the Enemy because Torith, she's a little bit of a sympathizer because she's telling Troi, like, it's your type of people, thinking she's talking to the Tal Shiar, that's going to be the death of us all. So she's leaning a sympathizer as well, which I sort of want to ask you, do you think that Commander Torith, Commander, yeah, if Nivek would have asked in a appropriate way that she might have helped?
I have never considered that in my many viewings of this episode, which is why I love doing this show, Amy, because it makes you think in different ways 30 years later. This is really a issue of, this is a Romulan focused episode. So if this was a different alien species who weren't so treacherous, distrustful, then that could have been a conversation and maybe Toreth could have been brought in. And where's your peril? Where's your problem? But the fact it's Romulans, they would rather go on this huge subterfuge.
Yeah.
And Pornevec pays the ultimate price for it. Wow. Now, again, something I've not really thought about until considering the differences here, that both episodes have a slight B storyline to them, which deals with someone who's defected or exiled coming home, in inverted commas. So you've got the Ensign de Sever, he returned to the Federation following his defection to Romulus. And then you have Garak, for the first time, returning to Cardassia since his exile. I've never put those two together.
That, right? And it's like, because Ensign de Sever, how do you say his name?
De Sever.
De Sever. Like, that's Federation leaving Romulus and coming back. I love that twist on it because we're not used to us leaving. You know, you're not leaving us. We are we. No one wants to leave us. We're the good guys, you know. And now we have De Sever who left us and wants to come back. That's crazy. I love that.
Maybe he just wanted a new hairstyle.
Oh my gosh. I can't even with, I can't even.
Okay, now we have already said this, but just to make it really obvious, this episode does establish that there is a secret intelligence service of these alien galactic superpowers. So in TNG, we established the Tal Shiar. Now in DS9, we didn't establish the Obsidian Order in this episode. It had already been done, but it was about the Obsidian Order. So there's your continuity connection there. Okay, so what about some of the differences? What makes these episodes unique in their own right to the haters who say it's a do-over?
Well, Troi never really questioned who she was. Like, she was not, I mean, she just knew she was Troi and had to figure out what it was. But with Kira, like there was doubt, and amazing scene that she does where she like had to consider the evidence that was put forth. So that she was questioning who she was. So that's a big difference, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And also as well, when you consider Nivek and Entek, Nivek needed Troi to play along and pretend to be Major Rakal, whereas Entek's route was to try and trick Kira into thinking she really was Ileana Gamor. So a very different strategy from the Romulans and the Cardassians here.
Now, these next two, Kelvin, you've gone above and beyond with making these differences connect to each other. So listen, Troy's trusted ally, Nivek, is killed, whereas Kira's ally, Gamor, lives. And then you got Troy's enemy, Commander Torith, living, but Kira's enemy, Entek, is killed. Like they're opposites. I love it.
Yeah. I love to watch with my little notepad. I get my little things out and say, right, okay, what else have we got? Oh, this, do you know, for 30 years, we've talked about seeing things through new lenses, but for 30 years, every time I watch this episode, I can't help this. So in Face of the Enemy, Geordie, bless him, LeVar has very little to do, to the point where it's almost like he's contractually obligated to be in the episode. The only thing he does is stand. What's he doing in the transporter room at the end? It's like, oh, hello, welcome back. He's not even operating the transporter. He's just there.
Yeah.
To kind
Why
of
would the engineer be there?
Well, because Chief O'Brien's gone to Deep Space Nine about 2 episodes before. That's why.
Okay.
But it was almost like he wasn't in the story, but maybe they just weren't brave enough to say, you're not in this episode. However, engineer for engineer, chief engineer for chief engineer, over on Deep Space Nine in Second Skin, Colin Meaney, Miles O'Brien, was not in that episode. So the other chief engineer had nothing to do in that story. Is it a similarity? Is it a difference? It's a little bit of both. I will also mention Jake's not in the episode either, but that's nothing new there for early Deep Space Nine.
Right. Okay. I do have to comment, since you did bring up Jake. Where Sisko was standing in his civilian clothes on the bridge of the Defiant, dude, he looked like Jake. He was so slender and tall, and like I was like, oh my, was that Jake? That is Sisko. They look so similar, like older Jake and this young Sisko. Whew.
It's some brilliant casting. It really was. It is. And you look at Sirach now and you think, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, he could play. If they needed to get Sisko back into Star Trek and Avery was too unwell to do it, you could actually have Sirach play Benjamin Sisko. It would work.
Oh my gosh, he would love that.
Indeed. Okay, so another difference is that Troy's actions saved the day for the Enterprise, whereas Kira just kind of needed rescuing. There was no real peril for Deep Space Nine or for the Defiant itself, whereas, you know, if Troi didn't intervene, the Enterprise would have been destroyed by the Romulans.
Yeah,
so I thought the stakes were so much higher. Yes, thank you, in Face of the Enemy.
Yeah. So before rescuing herself, Troi had to factor in the people smuggling of the Romulan politicians. She really put their welfare over anyone else, over hers, you know. And Kira had the revelation that the plot was to expose Gamor from his dissident connection, but they never had to rescue him or take him from Cardassia. So a little bit of difference there with the dissident.
Yeah. Again, stakes. Face of the Enemy it seemed a lot more dangerous. Second Skin, I think it was the mystery at the beginning of the episode was a lot stronger than the rescue and the reveal at the end. Whereas Face of the Enemy just built, I felt, all throughout to a really good ending.
Right. I mean, when she's ordering him to go into Federation space, like that is an act of war. There's no act of war on, well, stealing well, she's not a Starfleet officer. Kira is.
Okay, well, to keep things traditional for us, we are going to do some assimilations and regenerations, whether it's for the individual episodes themselves or this kind of compare and contrast exercise that we have done here. So, Amy, do you want to start us off with a assimilation?
Well, I rarely comment on badges or uniforms or ships or anything, but man, seeing that Romulan insignia on the uniform just is beautiful. And knowing that Fansets has a beautiful pin as well. It just I really assimilate that.
That's really interesting you say that. One of the things I noticed for the first time is the kind of the quilting of the top level of the Romulan uniforms. They were all different. So Troi's, Navek's, Tourette's,
Yes.
and it was almost like bedding material, like some kind of quilt that had been cut up and refabricated. And I always assumed they were standard because it's a military uniform, but the patterns on them are different. So yeah. I notice uniforms too.
Yeah.
An assimilation for me, and I'm sending this one out to Kristin. She would have taken this one had she been here today with us. One of Garak's best lines from the entire series was here when he mentions, it was just something I overheard when I was hemming someone's trousers in relations to his using the Cardassian code on the bridge of the Defiant. Brilliant character definition right there, expertly delivered by Andy Robinson.
Agreed. I mean, first of all, for him to just step up and blah, 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 and then that's just something I overheard. So well delivered. Yeah, agreed. Let's continue this masterclass because Troi, if you want to know how to fake it till you make it, this is it. This gives me the power, the right to, man. And she takes all the bad things that she's heard, these stereotypes of the Tal Shiar, and uses them to her advantage. You think you're going to disobey me, your family, your friends of your family. She goes full on and gets everyone so scared of her. I freaking love that. This gives, oh man, brilliant. And then Kira, Nana visitor, when the point of her breaking down and she's considering, oh my gosh, I might be this Ileana that they say. It just breaks my heart. Just to even consider that your life has been fake. Both of those, huge assimilation for me.
I've always noticed Marina does this twice to my memory in TNG. The other one is in Gambit, where she's shouting at Riker. When she shouts, her British accent comes out. Yes. So when she's going, now you are going to listen to me, she sounds such a Brit, and I love that because obviously she puts on a traditional Betazoid accent to start with, and then just generic American as you go through. So to get British Marina for a moment is, I love it. Leading to my other assimilation is just Carolyn Seymour as a guest star as Commander Tereth. Man, she is amazing. She is just so deliciously evil. I usually don't like this trope of the British villain, but I could listen to her speak all day. She's got the most rich accent, voice, dialect, tone. And the way they bring her back as well in Voyager for Janeway's horror novel as Mrs. Templeton, it lends itself there as well. So she's one of my favorite guest stars in all of TNG, in all of Star Trek for when she comes on. So that's my assimilation. She's perfect for Tereth.
Yeah, and I mentioned this a little bit before of Desever, that we've got a Starfleet or a Federation person who goes and chooses Romulus, and Picard, was it Picard or Riker that was like, why did you even leave in the first place? Like, what's going through your head?
Picard.
And yeah, Picard. And he's describing like he wants order. He doesn't want confusion. And it just eerily reminded me of Borg. We will take and we will just put it into this beautiful square cube. We will tell you what to do. We will remove the choices so that it is simple and easy for you. We will provide the structure. And to a lot of people, that is desirable. And so through Dissever, you can see almost the fascination and this turning away from chaos, but chaos comes from diversity, which is what makes us stronger. Like, it's just delicious.
Oh, Amy. I mean, the kind of the modern day opinion of people are basically volunteering for assimilation.
Yeah.
Because they want to be part of that ordered way of thinking is very here and now politics. And on both sides of the Atlantic, we have political parties like that too, which are up on the rise. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There are. Do you have any regenerations for either of these episodes?
I was trying, Kelvin, and every time I was like, okay, and then I'd end up with an assimilation. I don't. What about you? What's your regeneration?
Well, do you know what? I only thought that it's that thing about Geordie being in the transporter room. It really takes me out of the viewing every time because I'm like, they should have just been braver and let LeVar have the week off. You know, they do it other time. They do it with, you know, Troy's missing from several episodes.
Yeah.
So to have him there that takes me out. I don't think I have any regenerations of second skin other than what I've recently said about I feel the episode peaks halfway through rather than at the end. And Face of the Enemy builds and builds and builds to a climactic ending. So maybe that's a regeneration, but maybe that's when we start actually comparing who did it best in a moment. But other than that, no, I love both episodes. With Second Skin, I love that Kira doesn't just wake up and, oh, she's a Cardassian. There's this huge investigation about the prison camp that they said she was at the beginning. It establishes a lot that her mother and they were at the Singha refugee center. So these are names that are mentioned. We've already heard Shakar as the resistance cell that she was in, but even little details like she used to have long hair when she was in her youth. I just love these little character details.
Yeah.
It's a great episode for two favorite characters.
So then, Kelvin, who did it better?
This is hard. I went into this before my rewatches earlier this week, very defiant, no pun intended, that I would be voting Deep Space Nine because I love Kira. She's a great character. I respect the episode for its being so mature in identity, even though it's very early season 3. This, you know, you could just throw this and it's a later episode where everyone knows what they're doing. But I think I'm going to give it to Face of the Enemy because, as I said, the tension in the episode builds, the suspense, are the Romulans going to attack the Enterprise? Will Deanna be okay? Will the dissidents be saved and go to safety? There's so much more peril in this episode that I think it just tips it over to being the better one. I feel almost like this is a wasted question asking you which you prefer, but go on, surprise me.
Yeah, you really do give good reasons. And of course, I love Troi, and this is a huge Troi. I like her in Dark Page too. So that's another one that's a big one of mine. But man, Kira, And yeah, I think you're right with the stakes of Face of the Enemy that just adds that excitement. So I've got to go Face of the Enemy. It's just, this gives me the right.
I love how you said that and you're literally pointing to Troi on your t-shirt.
Yes.
This gives me the right. It's so close. You know, we do this Who Did It Best when we're reviewing episodes in a series. And yeah, I struggled with this one. I did get a little bit preppy on this and I wanted to hear what the listeners thought as well. So I did announce on social media, various platforms, that we were going to be comparing these episodes. And someone actually from another Star Trek podcast said to me saying, why can't we like both? I'm like, we can absolutely love both, and we do. But, you know, we are going to pair these things up and compare. So are you ready for some results?
Yes, tell us.
I did go to the dark place to Twitter to run a poll. It's just easy to run a poll on Twitter. Yeah. We had 56% for Face of the Enemy and 44% for Second Skin. So that's a win for Next Gen.
Yes.
Only just incredibly close.
Very close.
And then in the BQN Collective on Facebook, we posted and we got 53% for TNG for Face of the Enemy and 46% for Deep Space Nine. So again, just a her in it. It was so close.
Yes. We had a listener, Ann Lute, who says, I chose Second Skin because I like how they came back to the subplot in later episodes and it wasn't just dropped. So very good. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Anne. So who did it best in terms of comparing episodes and episodes? Well, previously covered in this series, we have none. This is our first one. So I hope listeners, you've really enjoyed this side-by-side comparison of the details of two relatively similar episodes, if not to appreciate the unique qualities of them, as well as the similarities too. Yes. For those people who say they were a lazy do-over, it's not.
No. What's happening on BQN, you ask? We're not just a network. We're a universe of exploration, entertainment, and deep dives into the topics you love. Here's your star map to the sonic adventures awaiting you. Let's chart the Star Trek cosmos with all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with the insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. From classic to current, they cover it all. Galaxy class, engage! Stephen and Stefan pilots this Alpha Quadrant mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiance lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front, discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into a rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the tea, Bev? Christo spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube as well as podcasts are Trek Masters. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And the View Screen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of a Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. But beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives. unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Szilagys. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe and transformational journeys. Host Lex Rosa explores what it means to embrace authenticity in the face of societal expectations. You can unlock deeper levels of engagement with our exclusive patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. You can also now watch All Good Things as an extended video edit and get a background look into the creation of a podcast. Also, check out our back catalog of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Stay connected to our ever-expanding galaxy of content by following BQN Podcasts on Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, and Discord. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio.
Amy, what are we doing next week?
Well, next week we are going to our addiction series, part 4, and we're going to say love addiction with Deep Space Nine's Crossfire.
This is one of my favorite Odo episodes of Deep Space Nine. It's such a random, underrated episode, but one of my favorites. So I cannot wait for next week. But before that, we would love to hear what you thought of today's show. And there are many ways you can do this. You can join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or you can join our Discord server. You can follow the network on Bluesky and Instagram at BQN Podcast to continue the discussion there. And you can find all the links and invite codes in the show notes. And we want to do more things like listener polls and that to get people involved in the episodes before we start to record. So get yourself over there. So, Amy, where can people find you when you're not waking up looking like someone else, wondering how you're going to get yourself home?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. That might have happened at No, just kidding. Well, when I'm not doing that, please find me on Union Federation. We're going to be starting back up once Starfleet Academy gets going. Sharing our episode reviews of that on Union Federation. You can find me on our Discord server and our Facebook group. And Kelvin, where can people find you when you aren't dissenting over to Twitter to create a poll?
Oh, I feel like I've just been told off. Oh, wow. Okay, so when I'm not in Amy's bad books, you can find me directly on most of the socials, including Twitter, at Kelvin's Timeline, or you can come and find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group. I love perusing through that group and seeing all of our lovely listeners' comments with your memes, your posts, your comments, so keep them coming.
Well, you will never hear a commercial here on BQN, and if you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can watch the video version of this very podcast. You can join our reaction shows, script readings, and enjoy our special patron-only back catalog of shows like It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to sign up and get all the details.
Now, if becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, or talking about it with your friends, or hitting the like and subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a 5-star rating and a written review. That will help others to find the show and build our little community of awesome listeners.
At this time, we would like to thank all of our patrons, but give a special shout out to our associate producer, JJ Seastrom. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and to Kelvin for our artwork each and every week.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
all good things.